Hi, welcome to Joshua. I just woke up. I didn't exactly want to make a video talking about the Lilo and Stitch remake, but since I had already seen the movie and as I was thinking about it, I kind of came across this topic that I felt like I needed to go over. So immediately, I just want to say that it was bad. It was bad. There's a couple of videos that you can see, just like from the thumbnail, immediately saying, yeah, that it's bad. It was this, it was that. And maybe you've already heard from several people, friends who have already watched it, that it was bad. And if you haven't heard that it was bad, then I'm just going to tell you right now, it was bad. But I don't want to just like talk about how bad the movie was. I want to talk about something that came over my head as I was also thinking about the remake of How to Train Your Dragons. Since the How to Train Your Dragons movie isn't exactly out yet, this could backfire really badly. But just from the looks of the trailers, I'm going to already be comparing what How to Train Your Dragons did right and Lilo and Stitch did very, very wrong. This is probably a really bad idea because, like I said, the movie isn't even out yet. So I'm comparing basically a movie I haven't even seen to a movie I did already watch. Something that Lilo and Stitch did very, very wrong for its remake is that it showed absolutely no love or appreciation for the original. And you could argue that, okay, there's like scenes in there from the original though, so how is that not respecting the original? But the truth is, so many characters and moments from the movie that were so special are just completely butchered or completely scrapped out. And instead, a lot of new scenes come in that are supposed to be, I guess, like charming or trendy, I guess. But they're just scenes that kind of felt like they were trying to give Stitch an iPhone. Like, I'm not sure if that even counts as an analogy, but what I'm trying to say is that it felt like they were trying to give him an iPhone and make him do like, oh my god. Here, let me just explain a couple of scenes. So there was a scene at the end of the movie. This is spoilers, obviously, but there was this scene where what's his name? You know, Cobra Bubbles. In the movie, he walks into the room. He walks into Lilo's room, and then Stitch is in there. You know, they're like hanging out and whatever. And he literally says, "They better not be doing those tic-tac dances in there." There's a couple scenes that do this. Like, there's another scene where in the original there was a scene where Lilo reads Nani's diary, and that's how she finds out that she's been complimenting that guy. I forgot his name, David. But in the remake, it's like text messages, so you can clearly see they tried to, you know, make it more modern. And that's just, it's so I feel that it's very disrespectful, I guess, to the original. I know that they're trying to be new and stuff, but it's not even creative. It's just I don't know. It's very, to me it feels very disrespectful to the original movie, and I don't like that they did that. Like, at least if there was like some creative ways that Lilo and Stitch was sort of modernized, I guess, then maybe it would be more forgiving, but I don't know. And so far from the trailer of How to Train Your Dragons, I haven't seen any modernization making it modern or anything goofy like that. And it especially would not work with How to Train Your Dragons, since it's supposed to be based off of whatever it's supposed to be based off of. Look, I may just be talking out of my ass, but like, DreamWorks just seems to be showing more respect for How to Train Your Dragons. A lot of the scenes shown in the trailers do look more like recreations of the animated version of it, though at that point it kind of feels like it feels pointless to make a live action if it's just going to be a remake of the original. But in a way, it kind of isn't, because the truth is, this How to Train Your Dragons remake feels a lot more like a tribute, I guess, to the original, like thanking it or celebrating it for being such a great movie, rather than the Lilo and Stitch remake that felt more like just a big, I don't know, merch thing. It felt like they were just trying to re-advertise Stitch, since he's still a popular, cute little character that people love, and it didn't feel respectful to the original movie. It really did just feel like a big ad promotion thing. But who knows? Even if How to Train Your Dragons does kind of turn tables on me and switch up a lot about the original movie, I still feel like they can't nearly do as much damage as the Lilo and Stitch remake did, because there just isn't much to change about How to Train Your Dragons. There isn't really much you can promote or make more appealing to modern ages or anything. There's just nothing you can do. But if this movie so happens to prove me wrong, well, I guess it'll make an interesting video. So, yeah. But I'm going to plant my foot down, hoping that they just can't. There's no way they can ruin this. They can't, right? I don't know. Like with Lilo and Stitch, you can see it coming from a mile away. You can see how much they were trying to just promote Stitch again, and how much they were trying to just make a couple more bucks off of an already popular movie that was treasured by many. And, well, I guess now that I say that out loud, How to Train Your Dragons could be very well also doing the same thing, and it's no doubt that they are. But at least they can't ruin How to Train Your Dragons. At least, I don't know. I just have this perspective of it where it just feels like you can't ruin it as much as Disney did with Lilo and Stitch. So yeah, that was really hard to say without like a grounded opinion of the remake of How to Train Your Dragons, since I haven't seen it yet, since it's not out yet. But I just really wanted to say this because the truth is, it does feel like it has more hope than a remake like Lilo and Stitch. But in general, I just don't really like these live action remakes, in general, because it is kind of disrespectful to the whole original animated movie of it. For example, this one ad that I saw of the Lilo and Stitch remake, or I think it might have been the How to Train Your Dragons. But anyways, it was just, big words saying the movie is brought to life. As if How to Train Your Dragons wasn't already a story that was already brought to life beautifully. Beautifully, whatever. And I especially felt this, like, disrespect or unappreciation, word. But Lilo and Stitch, the remake, really felt like it was unappreciative. Damn it, these words. Okay. Of animation. Because there was this specific scene that really pinpointed this idea in the Lilo and Stitch remake, where Nani was chasing Lilo around the house after they had that meeting with the social worker and things went horribly bad. And it made me realize how unexpressive it feels compared to the original with animation. And I'm not going to blame the actors for this. It's just that animation can capture certain emotions that live acting sometimes can't, or just not in the same way. And a lot of that especially gets butchered in the live action. But with the How to Train Your Dragons remake, it feels like there's a lot of scenes, whether recreated with CGI or whatever they did to make it work, there's a lot of scenes that really do feel very similar to the original. And it just feels a lot more respected. A lot more. Especially since there were scenes from Lilo and Stitch that were completely cut out, and characters even, just because they didn't want to have to animate or have those characters be animated or try to make it work with the CGI and the actors together. But in How to Train Your Dragons, it feels like they're doing a good job of just going all out with the effects and trying to make it feel more respectful towards the original. At least in my book, at least from what I've seen right now in the trailers, which isn't a lot, I guess. Also, the dragon designs are really cool. I like them. But yeah, that's all I had to say, and that's all I really can say, since one of my perspectives is only based on trailers alone. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please support the channel because it supports me and helps me keep doing these. Yeah, and thank you. I hope you like the video, and comment your opinions, and yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, bye. Scotland. So that's where How to Train Your Dragons was based off of. Yeah. Probably. I think.